Please consider following for more creative stories like this one. Your support helps these narratives reach more readers. Share your thoughts below if you enjoyed this tale. I gathered the silk fabric of my gown and lifted it skyward in one smooth, unhurried movement. Quietness descended upon the room, interrupted only by the soft cadence of breathing. 3 pairs of eyes fixed upon me with such intensity that I felt like a stranger to them. With calculated steps, I moved forward, my expression composed, allowing the silence to communicate what words could not. I approached Noah deliberately, savoring the atmosphere that grew heavier with each purposeful stride. When I reached him, I leaned forward and touched my lips to his, confident and resolute, as if I had always known nothing would impede my path. Before continuing, I invite you to appreciate this story. Your support allows these narratives to continue unfolding. Thank you for your encouragement. Now, let's resume. Noah stood nearby, his presence commanding attention, filling every corner with unmistakable tension. My face pressed into the cushion, breath catching as he maintained an unwavering rhythm. It wasn't tender, rather swift and certain, as if compelled by forces beyond control. Though he tried setting the pace, I matched him instinctively, finding our natural harmony. My hands clutched the linens forcefully as warmth coursed through me, each movement carrying me further. A sound escaped my lips, louder than intended, but he continued unfaltering. His grasp shifted, bringing me upright to my knees, one arm firmly encircling my waist for stability. I reached out, yearning for connection, and he responded with a deep, resonant tone that echoed within me, striking something profound at my core. For just a moment, his cadence faltered, then he pressed closer, this time more measured, with deliberate control guiding each movement. His breathing changed as the world seemed to contract around him. The warmth of his chest against my back enveloped us both in the moment. Trembling, I leaned closer, my skin alive, nerves electrified. We remained suspended in time, motionless for what seemed an eternity. Eventually, he released me, collapsing beside me as I struggled to regain composure. His voice broke the stillness, quiet and uncertain. "Perhaps this wasn't wise," he murmured. I turned slightly, my lips brushing against the softness beneath me. "Do you feel regret?" I asked softly. He released a gentle laugh, the sound contemplative. And lo, I don't have the answer, but perhaps Thomas or Eli might provide insight. I turned away, thoughts swirling. "What's happening?" I questioned. "They've been acting strangely lately," Eli asked. "If I've been disappearing," he replied, voice tinged with confusion. "And Thomas keeps looking at me like he's privy to something." "I'm not." I rolled onto my back, the covering sliding to my waist, lost in contemplation. "So they harbor suspicions?" He paused, uncertainty flickering in his expression. "Aren't you concerned?" I stretched my limbs, my body still resonating with sensation. With a smile, I replied, "Doesn't this add an element of intrigue?" The pounding on the door startled me, 3 forceful knocks that broke the morning stillness. Dawn had barely begun its ascent. My coffee remained unbrewed. A simple cotton shirt hung loosely, while sleep still clung to my eyes. I opened the door just enough to peek through. Thomas stood there, Noah's father, his demeanor composed, gaze unwavering as if already knowing what lay beyond. "Good morning," he stated. I widened the door, maintaining a detached composure. "I wasn't expecting you." He entered without invitation, his eyes surveying the room. He remained standing, turning to meet my gaze. I felt it appropriate for us to talk. Arms crossed, I stood motionless. "What about Noah and me?" I chose silence. He approached deliberately. "Do you truly believe I haven't noticed how his gaze lingers on you?" His manner when leaving suggests a weariness, as if rest has eluded him for countless nights. I remained unmoved. "Perhaps it hasn't." Thomas held my gaze momentarily. "I'm not here to judge, merely finding it difficult to accept the pretense of insignificance." I never claimed it was insignificant. He observed me once more, this time with deliberate slowness. "You seem unconcerned with appearances, don't you?" I moved just close enough for him to sense my presence. "I care," I declared, "just not in the way you might expect." His gaze lowered, lingering momentarily. My shirt provided minimal coverage, and I made no effort to adjust it. I allowed the quietness to settle, then extended my hand, letting it hover just above my thigh, near yet not making contact. "I'm aware of your attention," I remarked. "There's no need for pretense." His fingers moved restlessly. "I could have wished for your arrival earlier." I whispered. What makes today different? Silence prevailed. I leaned closer, just within reach, allowing warmth to flow between us. Thomas, I must ask, are you here to end this? I tilted my head, moving softly past his cheek. Or perhaps you're tired of being excluded. In that moment, I pressed my lips against his, gradual yet certain, and he remained steady, not pulling away. Thomas remained silent following the kiss, his gaze dropping before returning to mine. Something transformed within him instantly. One hand found my waist, the other slipped behind my neck, drawing me close once more. The kiss intensified, steadfast and resolute, without hesitation. He moved with purpose as he guided me backward, toward the sofa. I yielded without resistance, as he lifted my shirt. I raised my arms in response, maintaining unwavering eye contact. His hands touched my bare skin, and I surrendered to the moment as if I had anticipated it all along. I gently urged him onto the cushions, settling onto his lap with deliberate ease. His breath caught as I pressed closer, unwavering and bold. I moved subtly, just enough to create tension beneath me. Do you still believe this is misguided? I murmured. He remained silent. Move once more, he finally said. More deliberately, I responded similarly, hands firmly at my sides, feeling anchored as we moved together in perfect harmony. He took his time, allowing tension to build with each passing moment. He teetered on the edge of control. I leaned closer, lips grazing his ear. Stop pretending. His hands traversed my back, then descended once more, exploring with care. The atmosphere grew dense, tension intensifying between us. I pressed closer with greater intensity. He exhaled sharply through his nose, head tilting backward, breath coming in quick, labored bursts. Just as I sensed his hesitation, I withdrew. I descended from him with deliberate slowness, retrieved my shirt from the floor, and gently slid it back into place as if nothing had transpired. He lingered in that moment, drawing breath, savoring the stillness as he regained composure, uncertain of what would follow. You should join us for dinner tonight, I remarked casually. Thomas's eyes fluttered in surprise. Dinner? I glanced behind me briefly. Noah, Eli, and you. His expression transformed completely. I filled a glass with water and took a slow sip. I'll handle the cooking, I stated. You've arrived with an appetite. Silence enveloped him. He simply lingered momentarily, astonished, lips parted with silent resolve. Then he turned and departed wordlessly. The knock came precisely at 6, one decisive knock, followed by a more leisurely pace, as if caught between courtesy and self-assurance. Thomas had left in silence, not uttering a word as he walked away, yet deep down I knew they would all arrive. The door opened to reveal Thomas at the forefront, composed as always. Noah lingered behind, deliberately avoiding my gaze. Eli hesitated, shifting his weight from one foot to another as if contemplating escape. A smile crossed my lips. Punctuality at its finest. They entered quietly, each more uncertain than the one before. I wore a delicate fabric off-shoulder that shimmered softly with each subtle movement. Nothing beneath, no regrets. Dinner simmered gently on the stove, while wine waited, already poured, to accompany the evening's unfolding story. The table was elegantly arranged. Music played softly, lighting more subdued than usual. I embraced the role of perfect host, greeting each individually as if nothing were unusual. As if I hadn't rested my legs across Thomas's lap that morning, I sat between Thomas and Noah. Eli sat opposite, shoulders tense, eyes darting about. He struggled to avert his gaze, his discomfort obvious. Under the table, I allowed my leg to brush against Thomas's as his silence persisted. I asked Noah about his week, lightly touching his arm as he responded. Then I shifted attention to Eli. Are you still seeing that woman from last summer? He blinked slowly, stuttered, then shook his head. I nodded as if inconsequential, yet my fingers wandered along Thomas's leg. Each passing minute grew increasingly tense. My voice deepened. My smile lingered warmly in the air. I refilled their glasses without asking. Noah's eyes kept drifting toward my legs. Eli continued fidgeting. Thomas remained motionless. Yet I sensed subtle changes within him with each breath. As the final morsels were consumed, I rose to gather the plates. Stay, I whispered gently. I'll return shortly. I returned with deliberate slowness, different from before. Abandoned plates lingered in the kitchen, remnants of meals once shared. All three remained seated in silence and tension, observing me with uncertainty, questioning whether this could still be considered dinner or something altogether different. I stopped beside the table, met Thomas's eyes, then Noah's, then Eli's. Then I reached for the hem of my dress and with one fluid motion, drew it up and over my head. Silence prevailed. I embraced the stillness, inhaling the calm. They froze. Noah's eyes widened in surprise. Eli appeared to have forgotten how to breathe, and Thomas tightened his jaw, fists clenched on his thighs. I approached Noah gradually, allowing the moment to unfold with each stride. I drew closer and pressed my lips against his, deliberate, definite, assertive as I settled onto his lap. Noah's hands found my hips, familiar warmth enveloping us. His breath caressed my neck as I descended gradually. I unfastened his clothing just enough to sense him beneath me. The whisper of fabric broke the stillness. Once positioned, his grip intensified, fingers pressing into my waist. His head tilted back, releasing a sharp breath. I moved toward him, calm and determined, allowing every movement to build. He approached, each shift with intensity, his lips grazing my shoulder, his chest rising rapidly against my back. "Don't restrain yourself," I murmured. "Release your inhibitions." He surrendered, his hand gliding over my side, embracing me tighter with each movement. The furniture creaked beneath us, our bodies swaying in harmony, the air thick with anticipation. I sensed his proximity, the tension unspoken. His legs tightened in anticipation, his breath quickening. Yet I continued without hesitation. I turned my gaze. "Thomas," I spoke, voice steady and clear. He had observed everything, remaining fully clothed, jaw clenched. "Look at me." As I extended my hand toward him, he stepped closer. I carefully unbuckled his belt, lowering the fabric gracefully, gaze fixed upon his. He maintained composure, yet tension etched his features. Continuing to move over Noah, I leaned slightly, drawing closer to the moment, and brought Thomas nearer. His hand rested gently at my neck as I drew closer, bestowing gentle kisses upon him. One hand pressed firmly against Noah's chest, the other against Thomas's hip, the atmosphere vibrant with escalating tension. I hesitated, drawing back slightly. "Stay close," I whispered softly. Then I turned my attention to Eli, who remained fully clothed, perched on the edge of the sofa, uncertainty clouding his mind. I slipped away from Noah, heat still pulsing within me, and crossed the room deliberately. Eli remained motionless until my lips met his soft, enticing. He finally exhaled a long-awaited breath. I gently removed his shirt, observing his unsteady breathing. I moved closer, our connection deepening. His hand brushed against mine, and unspoken understanding passing between us. He followed silently as I directed him to sit. I knelt before him, inhaled deeply, exhaled slowly, and moved closer, placing a lingering kiss upon his hip before exploring further. His entire body tensed, fingers clenched at his sides, legs drawn together. I rested one hand upon his thigh, the other behind me for balance. Thomas followed, calm and unwavering. His hands rested gently at my waist. Then he drew nearer, his body against mine. I inhaled quietly, my breath catching as I embraced the new rhythm. Thomas held me steady from behind, every movement deliberate as I continued with Eli. The gravity of the moment enveloping the three of us. After a pause, I withdrew and turned. Eli sat wide-eyed, breathing unsteady. I settled onto his lap, descending carefully until completely at ease. He inhaled sharply, uncertain, his hands hovering before settling on my waist. I reached behind me once more. Thomas joined us, following closely. I bent gracefully to accommodate them both, finding a new rhythm as they moved together harmoniously. Then I extended my hand. Noah knelt nearby, observing. I reached out and he moved closer. I encircled him, with my fingers, moving softly, gradually, intentionally. His breath faltered as he leaned closer, pressing lips against my neck, his hands gliding over my thighs. Yet my journey continued. I stood and took Noah's hand, guiding him to recline upon the floor. I positioned myself above him, back turned, and settled into position, taking a moment to adjust to the rhythm. Thomas continued watching. I summoned him with a glance. He approached purposefully, positioned himself carefully, and drew nearer, directly in front, embracing our cadence. One hand rested confidently on my hip, another caressed my cheek. I leaned into Thomas's chest, swaying gently between them, Noah beneath me, Thomas above, every motion igniting warmth that swirled upward. I shifted my gaze to Eli, still observing. Approach, I whispered gently. He advanced purposefully. I extended my hand toward him and greeted him softly, my body continuing its fluid dance, Noah beneath, Thomas pressing from above, and Eli trembling in my grasp. Eli was first to shudder, profoundly, breath quickening as tension dissipated. I held him until completion, then gently released him. I redirected attention to Thomas, hands resting upon his chest as the final wave began to swell. Noah's grip tightened, his body drawing nearer, tension crackling until he tensed suddenly, breath quickening. Moments later, Thomas followed, his arms encircling me with quiet intensity, a hesitation speaking louder than words. Breath dispersed. As heat surged, tension crusting within me like waves engulfing my senses, I remained still, enveloped in Thomas's embrace, Noah's chest beneath me, Eli's hand resting gently beside mine. Gasping for air, I remained motionless and silent, absorbing the sounds around me, the life surrounding me, intertwined heartbeats, skin warm and undeniably real. I sensed each of them, Noah gentle beneath my weight, Thomas still embracing me as if reluctant to let go, and Eli nearby, his hand resting upon mine as if releasing would shatter him. Once I believed in my own completeness, yet this evening I realized the void within was never meant to be filled by a single touch. 3 were essential, 3 individuals, 3 gazes, 3 breaths intertwining perfectly with mine. Noah fulfilled the desire I had concealed. Thomas tempered that hunger with solid conviction. Eli emerged as the unexpected revelation, hesitant, yet igniting with intensity upon contact. With all 3, I found myself whole, complete, not merely in physical form but in a depth untouched by any single soul.